Let's start today with our feet on the earth or the floor, whatever it is, just imagining the earth down below us. And maybe right underneath our feet, and maybe she's a little ways away. Regardless, just know the earth is there underneath our feet. And just tap into how that feels right now. Can you feel your connection with the earth? And you don't have to force it. If not, you can just let yourself see what arises. And then, whether you feel this connection or whether it's just not there for you at the moment, go ahead and imagine that there is a connection there between your feet and the earth, and bring a nice deep breath in all the way down from the tips of your toes and the sole of your feet, all the way up into your body, and just let it go out your head. And we'll do that a couple times. Just bring the breath of the earth in through your feet all the way in through your body, feeling every cell and filling every cell. And just let it go. And again, one more nice deep breath in. Feel that breath of the earth. And as you let it settle out of your body this time, letting go of those things that you don't need in this moment, go ahead and send your vision off into the distance as far as you can see. And as we're often do here, you can go ahead and find a point to look at that's as far away as you possibly can see off in the distance. And just focus on that one point right now. Don't worry about anything else, just that one point of attraction, whatever's drawing you to look at it in this moment. And then while you're still looking at that one point, go ahead and soften the rest of your vision. So you're still looking forward, you're still attentive to that one point, but you're also taking in everything now from as far around yourself as you possibly can see, a big wide peripheral vision. And some people call this owl eyes, some people call it softening your gaze. So just let yourself sit with that softened gaze, allowing the breath of the earth to just come into your body and relax. And just notice what happens for your body when you are sitting in this softened gaze. And now, without losing your attention, and you're welcome to move your eyes around if you want to, but just keep that softened gaze. Try not to focus on anything in particular, unless, of course, there is something worthy of focus at this moment. So now we're going to bring our attention to the scents that are in the air right now. So as your breath in, go ahead and notice what the air smells like around you. Can you feel humidity or dryness as you smell the air? Does it smell different from yesterday? And now we're going to add another layer onto this. Go ahead and bring your attention without losing your awareness of your sense of scent and your vision, as well as your connection with the earth. Go ahead and bring your awareness to your ears. Do the same as we did with our eyes. Go ahead and send your awareness of your ears out as far as they possibly can go. How far can you hear right now? What's the farthest sound you can hear at this moment? And then let's bring it in just a little bit closer. And this time, focus on the sounds that are behind you. So, what is just one sound that you're hearing behind you, and try to get a sense of how far away that sound is. And see if you can keep your attention on your softened gaze, on your breath, and on the sense in the air while you do that. And without losing this sound, bring your awareness to a sound in front of you now. And how about bring it a little bit closer? What's a sound that's relatively close to you? Maybe even you could touch it. You could reach out and touch it. And with your awareness on all that's around you right now, keeping that in your presence, now go ahead and send your awareness into your body, deep within your heart, your lungs, your belly, your back. How are you feeling this morning? Is there anything you might want to shift or change? Maybe your awareness on your posture. If you're holding your belly in tight, you want to soften that. Whatever it might be, go ahead and let yourself shift, but still keep your awareness nice and soft with your eyes and expansive with your ears. And so my guess is that if you're here today, right now in this moment, that you've set aside this time to do so, to be with us and to sit. If you have something else to do, it's probably best that you go and do that so you're not too distracted. Otherwise, just trust in your wiseness to set aside this time and allow yourself to fully be here. And so, in this moment, now that we've quieted ourselves and attuned our bodies to the earth and the world around us and within us, see what it would be like to tap in to your inner being, to that one that just knows, that one that sometimes people refer to as our instincts, our inner guide, whatever it is that you call that one. That quiet voice, that one that always knows. And what is it that your inner being wants you to be aware of in this moment? Not what do I want you to be aware of, but what is your inner being guiding you to be aware of right now? And so we'll just spend about 4 or 5 minutes letting yourself be with whatever it is you're guided to be with, and see how intimately, how closely, and in how much detail you can be with this other one, whatever it may be, whether it's a leaf, a bird, an insect, or just a thought. And so we'll start now, and I'll let us know when we're finished. Okay, wonderful. So you're welcome to stay with that one that you might have been engaging with and continue on with that practice. Or you can take it to another place and see if you can allow yourself to be surprised, whether you're looking at something else or listening to something else that's out there right now. What would it be like if you let that one tell you who it is and show you something rather than your own definition of it? Like, let's say it's a bird that you're familiar with or a plant you're familiar with, and you have your own idea of what this one is. Try during these next few moments to just let that one surprise you and tell you who it is, show you maybe something you hadn't known about it before. So let yourself just dive a little bit deeper into knowing the one that you're looking at right now or listening to. Okay, so some of us have been using our eyes during this practice, and some of us might have been using our ears. And for this next little while, let's focus a bit more on our ears. And so if you were attentive to something out in nature, someone out in nature, and you want to go a little bit deeper with that one, then go ahead and try closing your eyes and seeing if you can hear the sound that that one makes. And maybe it's a tiny little insect and you're thinking, how could I possibly hear the sound of that one? Or maybe it's a tree far away you were looking at. And, well, I'm too far away to hear that sound. Well, just see what happens. See what happens if you ask that question. What is your sound? What do you sound like? And we'll stay in this for a few minutes. So, for the last little bit of our sit this morning, I know I told you to put your thoughts and ideas and worries aside for a little while. One thing that's, I think, kind of fun to tap into and ties us into all of our ancestry in some way is being able to ask questions of the earth and seeing how she'll respond. And some people believe that she always responds. And I think sometimes people get a little bit too worked up in their mind about this. And so we only have a couple more minutes, so we're just going to play with it. So if there's a question you've been pondering lately, something you're trying to figure out, not sure you know what to do about, just let that question sit with you in this moment. And then see what arises. See what bird might fly into your path. See what insect might land on your knee. See what sound you might be drawn to. It's actually where we get our word augur or inauguration from, the word augur, which was the telling of signs. And oftentimes it was birds that were used for this, that would sort of tell us what to do. And I can go on more, but we're doing our sit now, so I won't get too talky about it. So just go ahead and be with your question. And again, that's just an invitation. You don't have to do that at all if you'd rather not have any thoughts in this moment. But if you'd like to, just let your question just sit there and then see what shows up. Okay, so in your own way, go ahead and close this time for yourself and those that you connected with. You can offer gratitude to those that might have made themselves present for you today, might have shared some form of communication, or just been visible or audible in your presence today. And as always, you certainly don't have to leave here. Once we close, you can stay sitting even longer, dive even more deeply into your moment. But this is a close for our session today, and I will stay on and answer questions and talk some more with folks for a little while longer. But if people need to keep going, you're welcome to head out. It was a pleasure to have you here. And one thing I just want to clarify when I said where we get the word augur from. So it's where we get the word inauguration comes from the word augur, which meant to foretell who is going to be our leader based on signs. And typically those signs were birds. And so literally back in history, the ruler of some places used to be determined based on signs. And if the appropriate signs showed up, then that person was meant to be the ruler. And if they didn't, then they weren't. And I think that's why people got so excited a handful of years ago when that bird landed on Bernie Sanders' podium. And they thought, oh, it's a sign, it's a sign. And anyway, so yeah, that's where inauguration comes from, the word augur. Could you imagine if we did that today? If we chose our leaders based on the signs? Anywho, anyone want to share anything from their sit, from their time together, or from the previous week, whatever it may have been, any mysteries or questions that you're pondering? And if you do, you can just go ahead and raise your hand and I'll call on you. And I know, Dawn, you're not visible at the moment, so if you want to say something, you can just do the virtual hand raise or type something in the chat and I can go ahead and read it out loud. So. Yeah, I see you, Mariah. Go ahead.
Thank you for that information about the augur. That was so interesting, as always. And I'm loving the sunflowers behind Carol. Gorgeous. Was drawn to the light, the sunlight coming through the trees and filtering as the trees were waving and looked almost like water. And you could tell by looking at the light where the sun was in the sky by looking at the trees. And it was just really beautiful and interesting. And I kept being drawn to that. So when Kristi said to think about an issue or something that you wanted to learn about, I've been working with glass, with stained glass, and so I was asked for some new way to work with that craft, and it came to me to look at the colors, the glass colors, and then pick what the design would be rather than the other way around, which I've been doing. So not really birds today, but really interesting things came to me.
Yeah. Oh, thanks so much for sharing that, Mariah. And it's wild because there was a moment where during the sit, I glanced down to let someone else in. So I was looking at the screen, and what I kept noticing about your monitor itself was all the light that was just like shimmering and shining. And it really was full of light today in your part of the world. Yeah.
Very cool.
That's wild. Yeah, so cool. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, Jermaine.
Hello. Yes, I was focusing on birds a little bit today, and I put some suet out, and hadn't had any for a week or so. Put some suet out yesterday, and today it brought in two adult male and female bluebirds, which I hadn't seen at my feeder before. I'd never seen them before, and they were just lovely to see. And I just looked over at the fire pit a few minutes ago because I saw the male sitting there and he was whopping the heck out of a butterfly, getting ready to eat it. So they're hungry for some reason. We're getting some rain today, thankfully, but not too much. So, oh, and I also had a pair of cardinals, which I get at the feeder, but not all the time. So it was very lovely to watch the birds, especially the bluebirds. They were a special gift today. Thank you.
You bet. Jermaine, I can hear the cardinal right now behind you. Where are you calling in from, Jermaine? Just so folks have a sense of where you are in the country.
I'm
Or
Booth Bay, Maine, and right
yeah.
across the street from me is some kind of a quarry or something. I hear all these bum 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 bum, especially Mondays. It always happens Mondays, but it doesn't bother me really. They're far enough away. But Booth Bay, Maine, it's lovely here, and we need rain.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing that. Thanks, and I loved hearing the cardinal. So beautiful. Yeah, Carol, did you raise your hand? I'm not sure. Okay, I might have just seen a motion down over that way. I see Aaron's little buddy is raising a hand. Woo, over there. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah. Did you want to say something, Carol?
Well, I can say these sunflowers are from this amazing place near me that plants a sunflower maze in
Oh,
the
wow.
summer. So you can just go walking through this incredible, enormous garden of amazing sunflowers. I highly recommend it if you find one near you. And
Oh, where do you live, Carol?
I live in Western Mass. The
Western Mass.
sunflower maze is in Granby
Okay, sweet.
at Midfire Farm. It's an organic farm near here.
Oh, man, I bet the birds love that.
Oh yeah, they love it. It's so fun to go there and watch them all.
Wow. Do they eventually use the sunflowers for seed? Do they harvest the seed, or is it just for the maize and the birds and whatever else?
Well, I imagine it somewhat reseeds itself, but they also you can pick them too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can
Oh,
go in and pick the sunflowers, and they have all these other beautiful flowers. I feel bad for that little butterfly. I just planted a monarch garden, and or at least half of a monarch garden, because I got a little carried away on the size, and they're on the endangered species. So I'm hoping he wasn't eating a monarch butterfly. Like going, no, not the monarchs. So
I know.
that's a
Totally.
related thing, but the birds love it too. So
Right
happy
on, Carol. Yeah, and way to go planting a butterfly garden. That's awesome. It feels like such a joy. I know I just planted some more plants this weekend, and it's just so fun to see the birds and the bugs and the butterflies, everybody come in right away, and start feasting off of some of the ones that we planted. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I see. Yeah,
the
I see.
hummingbirds love it too.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, it feels like if it benefits the butterflies, usually the hummingbirds love it too.
They
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, Julia, I see your hand is up. Thanks, Carol.
I was going to say, this is pretty much the same thing, but I was focusing on Lantana, which is blooming. And aside from being a plant that will stand up to the heat, it attracts both butterflies and hummingbirds. And I was thinking that's kind of unusual because butterflies like to have a place to land so they can get the nectar. And but the hummingbirds also love the lantana. I guess there's enough depth in the individual little flowerets that they can get into it. And that's kind of unusual. And here you were already mentioning butterflies and hummingbirds both liking a plant. So
Yeah. What do I want to say? What's the common name for lantana?
I think it's lantana.
It is. Okay. I've never heard of that. I'm curious to look it up because I know
Well,
the bee. Yeah.
It may not grow very well in up north.
Oh, okay. Where are you?
I'm in Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
I
Awesome.
would say hell because it's hot as that now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, now I'm curious to check that out. I know that I just planted a bunch of bee balm, and bee balm is one of those plants that both the butterflies and the hummingbirds love, and bees, and everybody seems to love that one. Yeah, yeah.
uh-huh. I think I have seen lantana in Hawaii, so
Oh,
it may
okay.
be growing wild there, so it may be native to, just a hotter climate.
I see. I see. That would make a lot of sense. Yeah.
There's
Oh,
verbena.
verbena. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Right on.
yeah,
Thanks.
they sell lantana here in the Northeast.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they do. Oh,
They
great.
do. You
Okay.
can get it at different gardening shops or native. I haven't seen them at the native plant farm here, but you can definitely get them at the local places you can buy flowers. I used to put them in pots and the hummingbirds do love them. Salvia is what I find the hummingbirds are really attracted to. Salvia and echinacea.
Yes, that echinacea for sure.
Yeah,
Oh, the lantana looks almost like a zinnia. Oh, no, it's not. No, definitely not a zinnia. Wow, that's a really wild flower.
yeah, they're pretty.
That's so neat. This is what I, in case anyone haven't seen that before. This is the what came up.
Yeah.
Um, that's so cool. Thanks for that, Julia.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And
now
I see like,
she just mentioned another one, echinacea, which butterflies and hummingbirds both like. So maybe it's not as unusual as I thought. I was just, Lantana was talking to me today.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, right
it's
on, right on.
beautiful. It's a beautiful plant. Cardinal flowers, the hummingbirds love those beautiful, they're native to this part of the country.
Wow.
Cardinal flowers, they're a semi-woodland plant and they're beautiful red. They're just
Oh,
amazing.
yes, yes. Do they grow near like stream sides and stuff?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I saw one a couple years ago, and it's yeah, like a scarlet red, right?
Scarlet red
Yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and a lot of flowers.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was
Really,
so magical. Yeah.
they're very, very special. Yeah. Yeah, and they'll self-seed and everything. The native species have deeper roots, so they also protect the soil, and they're
Uh-huh.
drought resistant, which is what
I know.
Julia was talking about. The native species of plants are drought resistant usually because their
Yeah,
roots
yeah.
go deeper.
Yes, yes. Oh yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm on a gardening monarch butterfly bird roll. I'll be quiet. Erin has
No,
her
it's
hand
okay.
up.
I'm sure a lot of people appreciate the flowers and the bird conversation. Yeah, thanks, Carol and Julia. I see Erin's hand is up, so I want to give her a chance to share.
Wow, those are I love those sunflowers and that story about the maze. I really want to see a sunflower maze. Sorry, my son is getting a little. Maybe I'll take myself on mute for a while.
That's okay. Oh, little buddy. Hi. Aw. Sweet. Anyone else have a story or yeah, go ahead, Sandy.
Oh, well, I basically wasn't hearing much from any critters. I did see a little hummingbird. It darted out to one flower, a red flower, but it darted back into the rhododendron and didn't have any sound. Basically, so I was imagining that the wind, I could see the leaves and different needles moving, and I knew they probably had a little sound, but mostly imaginary. And then there were a few bugs and darted by, but I didn't hear anything. Then I turned my fans off, and nothing except a couple dogs. But when you elaborated about the auguring and so on, and about her question, asking the earth like for an answer or something. Well, as soon as you were done, there was a big clap of thunder. And it just it just felt like a sign. And I thought, I don't know, maybe I need to make some noise.
Yeah, Sandy, I love that. Maybe it's time to make some noise about something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes we need to, especially as women. I think it's important. We're really good at, being quiet, I think, and at least some of us. I don't know. I think that's a old cultural thing for women not to make as much noise often. So maybe it is time to make some noise, Sandy. That's an interesting one to ponder. Right on. Thanks for sharing that one. It's supposed to thunder later, so I'll be thinking about you when that happens.
Yeah.
Sweet. Aaron, is it a good time now? Are you in a,
Sure. Yeah.
okay.
Sorry, that was a little surprising last time. No, I really appreciated the stories of the flowers. I was also looking at a flower, which is I don't know if I can show you, but oh yeah, this pumpkin flower in my garden was it's like they must open really early in the morning, and then it's been closing as I've sat here for the hour. So it's really interesting to watch this flower. It was like wide open, facing directly towards the sun, and it's just like closing up now. So it's almost closing before my eyes, and there's a little bee in it like almost the whole time, just like getting heavier and heavier with the pollen it was collecting. So, and these are little pumpkins that my older son planted for, he's hoping for some Halloween pumpkins. So I haven't really spent much time with them, but it's pretty cool just watching this one close. And now I'm so curious what time these flowers open. They've always been open when I've gotten up.
Yeah. Aaron, did you make it to the festival at all this year? The bird festival that I ran, the online one?
I didn't.
No.
I've been to that the previous year, but not this year.
Well, I wonder, was it last? No, I think it was this year. So we had Julie Zickafoos on again this year, and actually both her and John Muir Laws had a really similar story where they literally woke themselves up at like 2 a.m. because there's some flower that each of them had near where they live. And there was some flower that they knew bloomed around that time. So they got up at 2 a.m. to like go and watch the flower open up. Yeah, I know. So now I'm wicked curious too. Like when do pumpkin flowers like start to open? I wonder. That'll be a fun one to track if you're up
Yeah,
for it.
well, maybe I can sneak out at 2 a.m. because I'm often up with this little one. So
Yeah,
maybe I'll have to do a little pumpkin flower exploration at that
yes. That'd be awesome. Give us an update. I'd love to hear.
time. Okay, I will.
Sweet. I'm
Yeah.
so glad you got to see that too. Gosh, to sit still long enough to be able to just watch a flower start to close or open either way. Like how often do we all take the time just to watch that beautiful process of life? Yeah.
Yeah,
you-
it's been really, really nice. Thank you for offering this.
Yeah, for sure, Aaron. Thanks. All right, Miss Karen.
Hey, well, I
Hi.
had to come inside because I couldn't hear anybody over the traffic noise, but we finally have rain in Missouri. It's exciting. It's only right before the sit started, it was only 0.2 of an inch, but it's, still kind of coming down. So I'm excited because we needed it. And it was funny because it's almost kind of like springtime again out there. The energy from the birds, the activity. I mean, they've been here, but it's been hot and they're, but today they're out there just like it's like springtime, just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this is great. And it's just, and when I first went out right before the sit started, in my front tree at the closest limb to me, which was probably, I don't know, it's probably 15 yards away, was a summer tanager. And I was so excited. I see them. I first saw them down in the Ozarks, like 4 hours to the south. And I see them down there all the time when I go down there, but had never seen one here. And it just sat there on the limb, and I'm like, okay, I need my binoculars. So I went back in, and then it took off. And right after, when we did kind of that last practice of, thinking of something, an answer that you've been pondering or whatever, I had this thing in my head. And right after that, the summer tanager came back over to the cottonwood tree. And I was kind of like, okay, I'll take that. So hopefully that was my answer. I don't know. We'll see.
Right on, right on. Yeah, we never, it's one of those things I think that takes practice. And I think that the folks who did it anciently were very practiced. They must have been excellent birders as well, and really had a very in-depth knowledge of birds, because their type of auguring it could be very intricate. But I think it just takes practice and starting to trust yourself in that, and beginning to know what things mean to you, and
I need to look more into that, because there are other things and other times that things happen, or something appears and I go, okay, is that a message, is that something. So it occurs a lot. It's just whether to know that really is what you think it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I know there's a good sort of rule of thumb. I worked with an amazing native elder. He's a Lakota elder years ago, and he used to always say that if it's just sort of like a common thing, like a great example was always the owls, because in their culture, owls were a symbol of potentially someone in your family dying. And I remember when we first learned about that, this is when I was, in my 20s, living out in Washington State, and a number, there was 3 or 4 folks had gone on this road trip to somewhere, and they were en route, and it was late at night. They were driving at 2 a.m. And they called Gilbert, in the middle of the night, like, Gilbert, we just saw 3 owls fly across the road. Does this mean that someone's gonna die? Should we keep driving? They were so nervous. And Gilbert's like, no. He's just when an owl comes to your the window in your kitchen in the daytime, then you gotta pay attention. But if an owl just flies across the road at night, that's what owls do. No. So he kind of gave him a hard time for it. And so it's good to know that sometimes when you're thinking of that sort of bigger sign, if it's something that you haven't, I think, and this is my own take on it, but when we ask a specific question and then something shows up, I feel like that's the answer, right? That's the response from the world. But if there's something that shows up and we haven't necessarily asked a blatant question in that moment necessarily, but all of a sudden a sign comes, or this, maybe there's a bird or something that represents someone that has passed, and they show up in front of you, or whatever it may be. If it's one of those bigger signs, where the owl comes in and of its own accord, to your kitchen window, that's a different kind of a thing, where it's sort of out of the natural sort of typical rhythm of owlness. So those are just a couple of thoughts for how to begin to start to look into some of this. Yeah.
Well, and the summer tanager, it on the maps, it lists the entire state of Missouri as their breeding ground, but it's just with all the birds I've ever seen here, that was one I'd never seen. And
that's awesome.
I stumbled upon it because down there I caught that flash of red, and then I was listening, and I kept hearing what I thought was a robin, but it was the robin didn't finish its song, and I couldn't figure it out. Well, it turned out that was the summer tanager. So I was like, oh, okay. And indigo buntings show up down there. If I'm doing a Merlin recording of the sounds, I haven't yet seen one, but I hear it, but again, here, I don't see that indigo bunny either. Not saying they're not here. I'm just, I don't have maybe the trees, the environment, with the fields around me and whatnot. They may be here. They may be right off across the field and over in the woods. I don't know, but they're not here in my yard. So I was excited. I had just walked outside, sat down on the porch, and I went, whoa, hi.
That's right.
And it's just like, it was, at the closest point of the tree that it could have been to me. It couldn't have been any closer unless it landed on my porch, which that would have been cool. But yeah. So I gotta keep an eye out for this little dude.
For sure, for sure. Well, thanks so much, Karen.
Poor lady, I don't know. All right.
All right, you guys. Well, any last questions, thoughts? Okay, well, I'll give you an update about next week. One of us will definitely be here, either Molly or myself for sure. But we will see you next time, and thanks for coming. It was wonderful to be with everybody today.
Thank you,
All right.
Kristi.
Yeah, you're welcome. See you, Joy. Bye,
Everybody,
Sandy.
Bye.
Bye, Dad.
enjoy
See
the
Karen.
rain, whoever
Bye,
has
Karen.
it.
Yeah.